Good morning. This is Molly with Mollie Kindred and Kindred Heart Tarot. This is a weekly tarot guidance reading for the week of the 26th and on. There's some pretty wild, intense energies happening right now. We've got all the elements online: earth, air, water, and fire. We may have some big events happening globally. Otherwise, each and every one of us is going to be growing in some pretty big new ways and new directions, having some new ideas come in and really letting go of the past and looking at life in a different way. So we have the beginning of the week, middle of the week, and end of the week. And let's just jump right in and see what we've got for the beginning of this week. So 5 of Fire, competing goals, bothersome details, and conflict with others. So you may have noticed in the past couple days, or maybe even a few weeks, depending on what your path is, that we have had some conflict energy, some misunderstandings, miscommunications. A lot of egos are flaring up. I noticed this for myself. My ego was flaring up, and I was really having to come back to center and figure out what was coming from my spirit and what was coming from my ego, because it wasn't as clear as it usually is for me. And that was in particular to do with some relationships and my intentions with those relationships, and really thinking about myself and not really giving other people space to also think about themselves. So being careful that energy is clearly spilling into the beginning of this week. So give people a little bit of extra space, I would say. I think a lot of us are going inwards right now, whether we like it or not. You might feel like, oh, I want to go out and party and have fun. And then you just realize that there's something else planned for you. Plans might fall through, or you might all of a sudden get really tired or sick. So unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, we're kind of being asked to sit on the bench a little bit, not really push too hard here, to make those positive action choices when you're guided from your heart, but just to realize that a lot of us are going through a lot of transitions right now. It's not comfortable. A lot of us are uncomfortable, and that means that we're going to be a little bit shorter with others, and that ego has more of a chance to pop up. And so if you're recognizing that in yourself, just be aware that that is more than likely coming out in others, and especially in others who may not be as aware of the spiritual side of, awakening as you are. So competing goals coming in, fire energy, so a little bit of war energy, a little bit of drama, but also this is going to lead to creation. So think of the phoenix. We're burning things off, and this is going to help us lead into something better. And hopefully coming in to the middle of the week. So the Ace of Air, brilliant new ideas and inspiration, seeing the truth of a situation, and a challenging beginning. So yes, I don't know about you, but I've had many of these. So trying to co-create and orchestrate new beginnings for myself, manifesting things that I desire and that I feel would be good for my spirit, and realizing that there's a stop and start to them. For example, I wanted this really brilliant job and I didn't get it, and it took me by surprise, and I really had to think about the fact that some no's are just important as a yes. And so we might be getting some no's that are just as important as the yes this week. But when you recognize them as truth, you can't really fight it. You'll notice that your resistance is not really there, or if it is, it's mostly the anger, resentment, and frustration. But you can feel that you're off balance. You can feel that you're, losing it, or you're not really looking at things from the highest and best perspective. But this is saying that, we are burning off those challenges, shedding some of those things that are just the last sort of residual aspects of an old paradigm for each and every one of us. And we're going to be having some brilliant new ideas about how to move forward. We're not alone in this. We are well looked after. We've each got guides. We've each got angels and, animal totems. And depending on who you are and what your path is, you might have thousands of guides and angels helping you. So ask for help and ask to see the truth of the situation, And then hopefully that's going to also resonate with your heart center. But we are in a new beginning stage here. So that's why we're also feeling a bit uncomfortable. So let's see what energy we run into for the end of the week. All right, so there we go. There we have it. That's exactly what I was just talking about. So this is the ego card. This is the devil card in the regular tarot. And I mean, one of the beautiful things about this angel tarot deck is, you know, trying to work with the energies of the tarot, but not have the fear associated with, you know, the death card or the devil card or whatever you want to, however you want to look at it. We still have to honor the dark and the shadow of world. And you'll realize the farther you get on your path, on your journey, if you don't go into the darkness, if you don't look at people's shadows, you're limiting yourself to, you know, really half of the entire whole perspective, because they go together. You know, it facilitates growth to have shadow and light. And so this ego is helping us to realize where we're stuck and where our wounds still are. And a lot of this triggering that's happening or has happened in the last week or so is to do with our inner children and to do with what we learned growing up as small children when we didn't really know any better. So this ego energy is definitely an undercurrent through the whole entire week, meaning be gentle with yourself and others, give people a little bit of extra space, be firm in your boundaries, but don't make them rigid and coming from, you know, a nasty place of fear, or, you know, oh, that person could hurt me, I'm going to shut them out completely. Be aware of why you're doing things. And also a lot of self-care. So we're going to have to up the ante for our self-care. If you meditate for 10 minutes, try your best to meditate for 20. If you meditate once a day, try to meditate twice a day. Just, we're being asked to increase our purification measures with the energy that's increasing so much, and our path, we're coming into almost like a bottleneck, I feel, where we're going to be like really pushed through to this new beginning. And the self-care is really going to help us quite a bit. So it's important to focus on yourself as well. If you start to get angry at other people and, or, you know, things aren't working or going your way, then kind of just notice and sit with yourself as a little kid and say, okay, I didn't get my way. That's why I'm angry. That's why I'm upset. Now, how can I provide what I was looking for myself? It might not be the same. Say if you're horny, you know, and your partner doesn't want to have sex, well then, it doesn't mean you have to go out and have sex with someone else. But it could mean you go buy a dildo or something. So, you know, take care of yourself and have a little bit of fun with taking care of yourself, in that it doesn't have to be a bag of shit. We can try to make things, just try to think of new ways to have a little bit of fun. Maybe you go to a coffee shop and you sit alone and you people watch, and you just watch people for half an hour and see what you see. Think of weird little things that you could do that are maybe just something that you quite enjoy that maybe other people don't, and then take that time to do that extra time that you're given this week, because it is focusing on yourself, and it's focusing on where your ego overrides, and what wounding you have left over that you haven't been able to look at, or it wasn't the right time to look at. So those residual wounds and triggers are going to come up this week. And so this is a heads up. This is a forewarning that it's going to be intense energies. But also remember what I said, and they're pointing this out again, that you have a lot of help with you. So if you need to book a massage, if you need to book a reading, if you need to talk to, your, a close friend or an elder, and say, hey, what's going on? Like, I'm really thrown for a loop here, and I thought I was doing good. Well, just voice that. Speak the truth. this week is really about speaking the truth. And if you have truth come through to you, sit with it a little while and acknowledge it as such. So what this ego card actually says is a false sense of entrapment, being overly focused on material things, and negative or fear-based thoughts. So in an earlier reading I had said, what happens when you're flying and you hit turbulence? Everyone kind of freaks out. You go, okay, all right, that was a little bit scary. And then you kind of think, I wonder who's flying the plane. I wonder how many years they have as a pilot, and or, is this aircraft really safe? But if you didn't hit that turbulence, you might not have thought that in the first place. So this week is about that turbulence again. So we're being like shuffled around, and like I said, triggered, and so they're wanting to bring out those last residual aspects of us that we haven't really noticed yet, or we haven't worked through, just to get a little bit more wisdom out of those teachings. And so if you're feeling trapped, like things aren't working out, or you don't know where you're headed, well, just think of this. We're all blindfolded together at this point. No one knows what's really coming down the pipe, but we're all trying to help each other gain a little bit of, confidence, faith, and trust by sharing with each other. And that can be in these videos, that can be, person to person and messenger, you could be in a chat room. It's really just about sharing our strength and our courage and our wisdom with one another so that we can move forward the best that we can at this time. So just be gentle with yourself. Know that these are really strong energies coming in. And so don't underestimate yourself, but don't overestimate yourself. Just take it easy and focus on what's true to your heart, and be more aware than usual of when your ego is trying to take the wheel, and bring yourself back to the heart and bring yourself back in ways that are good and kind to you. And so that involves that self-care. So have a good week. It's going to be intense. It's going to be interesting, and we'll see what happens for next week. But hold on. You are important. Your soul path is important, and there's a lot to learn in this universe, in this wild ride. So if you need help, ask for it. And yeah, make sure to also try to have some fun, and maybe go see a funny movie or go watch a childhood movie, something that brings you back to a place of comfort. So thanks again, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.